No, it's the oldest language in Britain, has been spoken in some form for the last 4,000 years.
But there is some concern the use of Welsh is in decline, and now the Government of Wales has launched a plan to get 1 million people speak it by 2050.
Well, James Williams is in Abergavenny for us this morning, where it's raining, I'm afraid. Morning, bore da.
Bore da and croeso. Welcome to the National Eisteddfod, held this year in Abergavenny in the border county of Monmouthshire. Now, it's the biggest cultural festival of its kind in Europe, where all of the political discussions, cultural discussions, competitions ranging from choral singing to reciting to poetry writing are all held in the Welsh language, which at the moment is spoken by around a fifth of the Welsh population. Now, as you can see, it's been a rather soggy start to this year's National Eisteddfod. But if there's one thing that really fires up Eisteddfod goers, it's the future of the Welsh language. Learning Welsh in the land of song. A living language, but one in need of revitalisation. The National Eisteddfod plays its part, a celebration of the language for the fluent of tongue and learner alike, and the setting for the Welsh Government's latest plan to almost double the number of Welsh speakers to 1 million by 2050.
This is a deliberately ambitious target, because what we want to do is to move the conversation that we've had about the Welsh language over the last few years. In the past, we've been talking about the rights of Welsh language speakers, about the rights of those who use Welsh in our daily lives. But what we're talking about today is the place of Welsh language in the future and the place of Welsh in our national life.
But the government faces an uphill struggle. In the last census, 19% of the population said they could speak Welsh, a slight fall from the decade before. Of the 22 council areas in Wales, only Gwynedd and Anglesey in North Wales had more than half the population speaking Welsh. The lowest percentage of Welsh speakers was in Blaenau Gwent in the South Wales valleys, at just 7.8%. So what do people in the town of Tredegar make of efforts to boost the Welsh language?
I would have thought if there was more people speaking Welsh around like this area, then it'd encourage you to do it, but if there's no one around you speaking it, then you're not going to do it yourself, you.
Well, I'd love to learn Welsh. Wish I had when I was younger, to be honest with you.
In 2013, Welsh ministers launched a so-called national conversation about the language. Fast forward 3 years, and yet another consultation has drawn derision from campaigners. Talk is cheap, they say. They want action. Well, I'm joined by one of those campaigners, Jamie Bevan from the Welsh Language Society, but we'll start with Naomi O'Brien, who's been shortlisted as one of the Welsh Learners of the Year at this year's National Eisteddfod. Llongyfarchiadau, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
And you've been learning Welsh for 6 years. What made you take it up in the first place?
Well, I always wanted to learn, but a couple of things were the reason why. I went travelling after university, and loads of people used to say, oh, you know, where are you from? And I used to say Wales, and they would say, oh, can you speak Welsh? And they were really confused why I couldn't. And so I wanted to change my answer and be able to say yes. And so that was kind of part of it. And then when I got back, a couple of my friends had had their children in Welsh medium school. And so when I started a family then, I wanted to do that for my children. I thought it was really important, and I learnt with them then.
How easy or hard has it been to pick up the language?
It's been okay. It's been really good. In our village in Bedlinog, it's a really good community learning for Welsh.
Are there enough resources? Are there enough tuition out there for you?
Yeah, we've got a brilliant teacher, and we've got a library, and there's lots of people around who speak Welsh, so we all kind of help each other, and it's just really good. It's fab, good support.
Okay, well, we turn to Jamie Bevan now from the Welsh Language Society. You support the Welsh Government's ambition of almost doubling the number of Welsh speakers in Wales to 1 million by 2050. It seems quite ambitious, doesn't it?
It is ambitious, yes, and I think to achieve it, we are pleased that the government have taken on the idea of 1 million Welsh speakers, something we introduced last year in the run-up to the election. But to reach that, it is going to take action. We've seen so many consultations and strategies over the past few years, and actually not a lot of action. We will be keeping the pressure up on the government, along with the rest of the Welsh public. We will all be keeping the pressure up on the government to actually act.
But you know as well as I do, there's an attitude problem in some parts of Wales towards the Welsh language. People are opposed to it in some parts of Wales. They don't feel resources should be spent on it. How do we change that if you're going to be successful?
It's just basic language awareness. I mean, it isn't like deciding whether you're going to drink one brand of coffee or another one. It's something. It's a part of who you are. Now, if you realise that not being able to use your language or use the language in every aspect of life, but be it services or socially, then that puts you at a severe disadvantage. We need to change that. Attitudes are changing.
OK, Jamie Bevan and Naomi O'Brien, thank you very much for joining us at a very soggy and damp National Eisteddfod.
James, what's the Welsh for it's raining now but it'll clear up later?
Mae'n bwrw ar hyn o bryd, ond gobeithio fydd yn gliriach yn hwyrach.
Let's hope it does.
There we go. That's
Thank
the
you
forecast
very
for you.
much indeed. Thank you.
A58.